kind of kick things off. Michaela Fitzwilliam from Dalia. I live in Montreal, so that's where I'm calling in from today. And Mavis, if you want to share where you're calling in from.
Hi there, Mavis Stewart with Shake Shack, and I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Fun. We have a good mix of people here. See some people from Dalia. Thank you for the support. So I'll kind of kick things off here. And we're hoping to try to keep this to the half an hour because I know you all probably have other meetings to get to. And so if we do run over, we will give you the recording right after this. It sends automatically as long as you're registered. So if you miss the last 5-10 minutes, we're going to send that recording over to you. And so today we really are happy and so excited to be talking with Mavis here. Mavis has worked with Dalia for over the past 2 years, and we really want to highlight, how Shake Shack has converted their whole kind of hiring process and mentality around recruitment marketing and hiring, and how they've been able to kind of shift away from focusing just on volume of applications over to how can we get the best applications and where we need to get them, and be able to rely mainly on organic traffic to get those applications and hires. And so we have a really interesting conversation today. Mavis and I were just saying, it's crazy to look back and see how much you do in a short amount of time. So I would love to kind of go over the agenda. So first, we're going to do quick introductions right after this. Then I'm going to give a quick overview on how Dalia views the status quo of job advertising performance and how we're working with our clients and partners to change that and really shift their mentalities towards getting results that they need at the end of the funnel instead of focusing so much on top of funnel. Then we'll have a huge moment for Shake Shack and their transformation and highlight 3 key partners that helped Shake Shack get to the success and sustain where they are today. And then, of course, we want at the end to kind of give you 4 takeaways on how you can take action tomorrow if your organization is in a similar boat and you kind of need to build this budget efficiency and really work on making more hires for what you have today. So, Mavis, if you want to quickly introduce yourself, give a quick background, and also what you do at Shake Shack.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So I have been with Shake Shack a little over 2 years. I lead talent acquisition and employer branding. And I caught the bug for the restaurant industry back when I worked at Chili's, and I've been kind of in this hospitality/restaurant industry for the last 7 or 8 years. But been in recruiting my whole career. So been on the agency side, been an internal recruiter. I love talent. I love talent acquisition. And I'm really excited that I get to focus a lot at Shake Shack on the employer branding side of things. Because at the end of the day, recruiters are always thinking about it, but it's not always something that falls, under our umbrella.
Totally. And I mentioned before, Michaela Fitzwilliam, I've been with Dalia for 4 years now, and we are a newer technology on the block. We've been around for about 5 years, and I'm really focused on working on all things growth. So marketing, new partnerships, and also increasing the performance of our product for our clients. Okay, so to kind of set the stage here for people who aren't familiar with what Dalia does, I want to kind of give you a high level on what we're focused on and how we're helping our clients and helping the industry change the status quo around job advertising performance, career site performance, because obviously we're all really good at driving high value interest. So driving those impressions on your career site, driving clicks, to your job ads. We don't meet a lot of organizations that are bad at this. That's just because everyone is using things like Indeed, social media, word of mouth and referrals. And especially when you have a good brand name and a really strong employer brand like Shake Shack does, this is not the hard part. What's really the hard part is turning that high value interest into higher value candidates that make it through the funnel. So are going in for interviews or getting offer letters and ultimately getting hires. And every single partner that we work with is always wanting to figure out, how do I get more hires, right? How do I get more hires? And so Dalia is really focused on this section of the funnel where you already have that high value interest, but so much of it is lost due to technology, job seeker abandonment. There are so many reasons, right? The competition. And we're really just focused on working with that high value interest and converting it into those higher value candidates that make it through to the interview and hire process. And so really I'm excited today to kind of focus on the other, like what Dalia has done, and also the other partnerships that Shake Shack has made to make this possible for them, and how when you focus on this sector of people, that's actually quite a big number of people for a lot of our clients, that you're able to drive this budget efficiency and you're able to actually make a lot more hires with what you currently have. And today it might be kind of blind to you because you're taking the status quo of, oh, there's so much drop off, I just need to invest more in my Indeed applications, or we're going to run more recruit marketing campaigns. But I'm really excited to show you how much value is in this center here that can help you create that efficiency. So maybe I'm going to hand it over to you to kind of give a profile of Shake Shack so we can kind of set the scene.
Yeah, great. So Shake Shack, been around 20 years, started as a hot dog stand in New York City at Madison Square Park. And here we are now with over 300 restaurants, both domestic and international, about 1,200 managers here in the US, and about 13,000 team members. We are in growth mode. So we are opening right now 50 restaurants a year. And in the next 3 years, I did the math before this call. In the next 3 years, we need to keep up with our growth. We need to hire 18,000 managers and I believe 58,000 team members. And so that's kind of a drop the mic moment for me at times when I think about what we have in store for us and what we need to do to get there.
Awesome. And so to kind of like further set the scene around this, when we first started talking about 2 years ago, I would love for you to kind of bring us back to that moment 2 years ago and talk about the factors that got you to make these big changes.
Yeah, so it's funny. I started at Shake Shack in 2022 in August, and after being there a month, presented to the board of directors kind of what was happening. If you think about when I started at Shake Shack, I did a funnel kind of similar to what you just showed, Michaela. Like it was a funnel of applications, hires, interviews. And I think I said on the slide, Houston, we have a problem because we did not have enough at the top of the funnel to fill the hiring needs. And that really kind of made me think. And so when I first started at Shake Shack, we were doing a ton of easy apply with Indeed. Our restaurants were relying on that because, numbers, it's all about numbers. Who cares about conversion? But numbers, number of applications that felt good to them. They saw it. It came to their inbox, but we knew that the conversion rate wasn't there. So really relied on Indeed more than we needed to. We had a brand new recruitment marketing firm when I first started. Like we were in month 1, I think, when I started. Budget restrictions, like everyone. We're a restaurant, we're hospitality, had to really stay within that budget. And then growth mode. So again, 50 restaurants a year, that's no joke. And really had to think about, instead of always thinking about the here and now and filling holes, had to think proactively, had to think long-term, had to think about the Shack of the future. Where are we going? Are these processes, will they work long-term? And then had very little data, still working on that, but didn't have a partner thus far that was able to really help us with data and knowing what's going on. It kind of felt like the Wild West because we were just trying things. Is it working? Is there ROI there? What is the cost per click? What is the cost of this? It always was kind of like gut feelings versus like really leaning into the data. And so when I first started, that's really where we were. That was kind of the state of the business there. And I would say the biggest thing for me was thinking about not only how much Shake Shack was changing, but how kind of the macro environment was changing. So when we think about, are you going to tee me up here? Or do you?
Yeah, no, you can go ahead. I'll tee you up. Okay.
I was just going to jump in, but you tee me up.
Yeah. No. So yeah, I mean, I think you were just kind of doing a great transition there of like, okay, when you kind of did the analysis and saw all these factors, what was your go mode? What was it going through your head of like, how are we going to get this? How are we going to hire enough people to make these 50 new restaurants per year successful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So had to really think about it in a new way and go into kind of explore what is current state and where do we need to be. So growth mode, the macro environment had to stay ahead of that. And so really at the end of the day needed to explore. So I would say the things that really my mentality when I go into these types of things is understand the current state and don't be afraid to like, what is the blue sky vision, right? What could it be? And so understanding your business, and granted, I was quite new, but understanding your business to understand what risks you're okay to take. Good thing is at Shake Shack, I have lots of leeway to do that, to think about things, to think about what makes the most sense. And so understanding which risks we could take, financial constraints, what could I get buy-in for, what was the growth plan and what was the vision and passion for the brand. Open-minded, wanted to understand it all and wanted to talk to as many people as I could. So even when Dalia called me 2 years ago, I thought it was a cool concept. I liked the people I was talking to, and that's what started that partnership. Getting really set in your here and now is a roadblock because our shacks were using Indeed Quick Apply, and that wasn't going to get us where we needed to be. So understanding different partners and different ways to have, I think I said diversity of media 20 million times when I first started at Shake Shack. I want to see diversity with the different media sources and the different channels. And then also being okay creating systems and being able to pivot when you need to, because in 2 years, the hiring environment has changed, right? The talent pool that we're looking at has changed. And so being able to have a system in place where you can pivot with the needs of the business and the industry needs is really, really important. And then my team at Shake Shack is sick of me saying it, but I'm always talking about the Shack of the future. Recruiting, we fill needs, right? That's what we do. We fill needs with great talent. We are looking at quality over quantity, but at the same time, at Shake Shack right now, because we're in growth mode, we have to be thinking ahead. I cannot just be thinking of the here and now. I can't just be thinking of this year, but I have to be thinking of like the Shack of the future and what that looks like.
Totally. I have a question around that, because like you had mentioned about building agile systems, and obviously 2 years ago Indeed Apply wasn't fulfilling, what you all needed, and it's not very agile to use that system because it's just one place, right? It's one channel that your team is fully dependent on. How were you able to, and remind, like, to also share, Mavis also has a core team, but also all the Shack managers are in charge of their own hiring, making their hiring decisions. So how were you able to risk, I guess it's a big risk, to basically change the structure and the way that all 300 of your restaurants were hiring right away?
It's a good question. And it's something really important because you can drive. I mean, everyone on this call knows this, right? Like you can drive initiatives, what's best. You're the subject matter expert in a certain area, but the change curve with those people who it affects and impacts is really important to understand. So I knew where we needed to go, but taking everyone else along for the journey and seeing the pros of going this route, change curve is hard, especially with retail operators who are running shacks, they are running restaurants, and they are focused on operations, and changing something in their worlds can really impact them. So again, it was kind of the chicken or the egg, finding partners that would help me with data. If you lean into the data and you show it, it helps. Storytelling was really important. Letting them know how it was going to make their lives better. But a lot of it was, a lot of pushback, if I'm being honest. They loved their easy apply. They thought it was great. And having to kind of rip the Band-Aid, but give them systems and alternatives that were going to work for them. And, proof's in the pudding. When it starts working, at the end of the day, you don't hear from them if they're hiring, if there's great applications. So being able to kind of take that risk, but the change curve to those who it impacts is definitely something that shouldn't be underestimated.
Totally. And one more question around that for people who might be in the same situation. How did you roll it out? Where you ripped the Band-Aid off and all of your restaurants went on to your new system, or were you piloting it? Like how did that rollout go?
Yeah, so it wasn't a pure like easy apply to programmatic with Recruitix. It wasn't like that, but their lever, if they were understaffed, was to do quick apply. That's just what they did. We want to do quick apply. And we just started saying no. And in extreme situations, we would let them, but then we also gave them a spreadsheet, and they needed to track the amount of applications they received, who they interviewed. We needed to have ROI and make sure that the juice was worth the squeeze. So I will be honest, it was a little bit of tough love in the beginning, but I had a team that was there to support them. So they felt the support. We were slowly taking away some of the things that we didn't think were efficient for their business.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. So yeah, I think now we're gonna dive into these 3 key partnerships that Shake Shack made in order to make this transformation possible. And so we see up here Recruitix as a core media partner in programmatic and also in data providing. Then we partner with Dalia, again doing that conversion for the drop off on the career site. And then Paradox has played a huge role in simplifying their application process. So Mavis, would love for you to kind of talk through a little bit of these results, and then we'll kind of talk through how each partner had a role in these results. And so I know it's hard for people to see this graph here before you kind of dive into the results. But basically what this is comparing is Q1 2023 to Q1 2024. And what these colors are the application sources by origin. So you see here in Q1 of 23, it was about 60% of Indeed sponsored ads were the main driver of Shake Shack's applications. It was a good 40% of organic traffic, but very few other providers or job board sources. And you look into Q1 2024, you see this huge spike in organic, which we're going to get to, but we're able to decrease Indeed and then see a lot more colors. So maybe if you want to talk to about how maybe your Recruitix has played a role in that, and how you were able to, over the year, expand that diversification and what it's meant for your team.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's fun because even in 2024, we're almost finished with 2024. We've added more colors here. So this was a good year kind of representation. And again, it kind of went to not putting all of our eggs in the Indeed sponsored bucket, right? So diversifying the partners we're looking at, the avenues in which we're reaching candidates. And then, this employer branding side of things really helped with that organic traffic too. Mm-hmm. So how are we getting people to apply, right? And so if you think about that funnel, yes, there's a side of it was investigating new ways, new media, new partners, leaning into things other than Indeed, if I'm being honest, trying things out, making sure there's data that supports it. And then at the very top of the funnel, attraction, how are we attracting them to our career site and to our jobs, was the employer branding side of things too. So I still am I'm still very excited, because even when we think about, and I know we'll dive more into it, the partnerships, it's a different talent pool. So yes, you want to diversify just so all your eggs aren't in one basket. But I believe that people that are applying with Indeed Easy Apply, it's a different candidate that's coming to our career site, or a different candidate that's going to Dalia and being re-engaged in that way. So I think it's also a diversification of candidates when you have different media out there.
That's such a good point, because you have click happy people who on Indeed, just like they have their Indeed saved, they're going to click. And then you have other people who are willing to investigate your career site, want to come read the job description, right? And will take the time to go through your application process for sure. So yeah, I think before we dive into the partnerships, one big thing about these results that I wanted to call out is organic career site traffic is highly valuable. A lot of the clients that we have when we first meet them, they don't even think about their organic career site traffic. They're like, oh, it's such a small amount of the hires, or like the applicants that we get and the hires that we make. But when we are able to engage with those people, they are our highest quality of hire and highest quality of applicant. And so what Recruitix and Dalia and Paradox have allowed for Shake Shack is really show them the value. of this organic career site traffic. And it really can be a powerful driver of applications and hires into your organization, as long as you have the right technology and partnerships to drive that conversion quickly. Because we know job seekers' attention spans are so small. And most of the time they're going to drop off your career site because, for example of Shake Shack, they used to have a Workday ATS front end. And so once you get to that login page, 90% of people are going to be like, sorry, no, thank you. I don't have time for this. Not another login. And so I'm happy to excited to walk through how the tech stack can really impact the conversion of this organic traffic and bring a whole new set of job seekers, like you said, a whole new talent pool into your organization. So let's kick off with Recruitix. If you want to highlight what they've been able to do for you all.
Yep. So we've been with Recruitix for a little over 2 years. And, we have a budget that we spend on our media every month. And I will say, even though we're in growth mode, because we become efficient with our media, our monthly budget has not increased. We're just diversifying how we're using it. So we used a lot more in programmatic in the beginning, and now we're seeing where we can kind of lay off. But I would say, as a whole, 2 years in, the Recruitix partnership, we now have data. We now have insights in new markets. When we're joining new markets, what is it going to look like to hire in this market? They can pull great data for us, that we are constantly looking at our cost per click, cost per application, having experts outside of Shake Shack who are helping us with kind of that programmatic media. I feel like the wheels are on the bus. And again, we are adding restaurants every day, and our budget for Recruitix hasn't increased. So we're just more efficient, and we have a partner to go to they're experts in this side of things. So I feel like that was the initial framework. That was the first thing I did when I got here, is we got in with Recruitix, and we wanted to get kind of the train on the tracks when it comes to programmatic, giving the restaurants who need the media dollars. Those who get a lot of organic, they don't need the media dollars, instead of a one-stop shop like it had been kind of historically. So that was like the framework for media, and for making sure that all the channels are represented from a media standpoint.
Awesome. And one thing is how, over the years, how has it changed the, I guess, mentality for your hiring team around data? It seems like now you look at the data before making a decision, instead of that gut check that you were talking about a few minutes ago.
Yep. So I would say still it's 50-50. I would love to say it's all data, but we have some shared spreadsheets we use with Recruitix that are kind of manual, but it's data for sure with Recruitix, but it's also my team who's out there in the field, and they feel it and they see it every day. And so we mix those two, we blend those two to come up with our media plan every month. So, if they're waving the white flag because we're having major issues hiring in Seattle, well, then Recruitix takes that into their media plan, thinks about that. Even if they're not seeing it in the data, we're feeling it and know it. So it's a mixture for sure in the gut, and then also the media. But my team is able to lean into the data too when they're trying to sell a narrative or talk to their their hiring managers about what's going on. So it helps everyone lean into the data. It's just so much better than like a gut feeling,
Totally. Okay, and then you partnered with Dalia.
Mm-hmm. So I think soon after joining, the leadership at Dalia reached out. And again, I was kind of like open-minded and said, I'd love to know more about this. And in my eyes, I was very intrigued with that Dalia partnership out of the gate, because again, this isn't the people that are click happy. These aren't the people that are clicking Indeed and just applying. This is that re-engagement piece of it. And it's a different talent pool who's saying, yes, I want to know more. I want to keep in touch with Shake Shack. And then Dalia is doing that for us. There's automation and technology around re-engagement. And I just thought it was a really interesting concept. And I was like, sure, let's pilot it. Ended up being more wins than I expected, to be honest, just because number one, we are doing a bunch with the career site. We were starting to think about a solution when it comes to quick apply and auto scheduling and the workday kind of piece of all of that. And then I just really enjoyed the Dalia team, the background. Everybody kind of had different background, and they knew what the problems were. And it's really nice to have a thought partner who's not always selling you on something, but really just helping you understand what's going on outside of your building or your four walls, So Dalia at the end of the day was able to help us with our career site when we went live with Paradox like a year later. So our the overlay that Dalia created just in piloting ended up being a win for us on the Paradox side too.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah, I think that's the value we're always trying to deliver our clients is, yes, of course, we need to make money. We're a business too, but what's actually going on? Like, let's paint the real picture for you and other people and get you the best results possible. And so I also just wanted to highlight this few examples of how Dalia optimizes career site traffic. And I know a lot of you haven't probably seen a demo of Dalia. So you're like, what is happening? What are we talking about here? And so really Dalia is focused on the drop off. So what Mavis is saying, that people who are coming to the career site, maybe checking it out, but not ready to apply at that moment, we have created a very engaging way to capture that traffic and then get them to come back through mainly text, but also email remarketing and job campaigns. And so as you can see here, I just wanted to kind of show what Dalia's been able to deliver. So this was another graph shared by Recruitix that just shows application by sources week over week from September just now. And I wanted to highlight here, obviously we have the big blocks of Indeed. They're the number one, they're always going to be, but Dalia is the second, like after Indeed, in the top three sources of driving applications back to Paradox for people to complete applications. And if you can see here, this maroon box is the organic traffic. So Dalia is able to capture so much organic traffic that was there and left and bring them back to be fully completed applications through Paradox. And so just like the power and value of the volume that a lot of our clients don't even know that they're missing today, how we're able to drive that back for them and deliver that value and efficiency. And then the other thing that we're constantly doing is just A/B testing around traffic optimization and conversion of existing traffic, like again, that organic traffic. And so this is just an example of the past couple of months we've been working on some language. How are we engaging these job seekers? We A/B tested some language, try to get more job seekers' attention when they're leaving. And over 3 weeks, 4 weeks of testing, we're able to increase their organic application volume by 300 applications per month. And so just making these small tweaks with your existing traffic can do a whole lot to your bottom line in the applications that you need to make the hires. So just want to kind of share those two examples to kind of give more background to what Dalia is doing. And yeah, we'll now dive into what Paradox has done.
Yeah. So again, on probably week 2, I realized that, again, Houston, we have a problem. Our application it's through Workday, and it was about 8 minutes long. And to Michaela's point earlier, you have to log in. The drop-off rate, while I didn't know the exact drop-off rate, I knew it was high. The process was tedious for candidates, and we wanted to solve for it. So went to RFP, looked at small companies, looked at larger companies, and really what we were trying to solve for is a quick apply for candidates. So I wanted it to be fast. I wanted it to be 90 seconds, quick. That's our workforce. They want it quick. They want it easy. I wanted auto scheduling. So there wouldn't be this back and forth between my general managers of restaurants and a candidate. I joked that it was like they were sending smoke signals or bat signals. Like there wasn't a way to communicate easily with candidates to schedule quickly. And then the last thing is administrative work taken off of our operators' plates so they can run great restaurants and not focus on the admin side of that hiring and getting someone in the door to interview. An added bonus of Paradox was this whole candidate care piece. I didn't realize we now have about 99% of candidates who visit our career site have a happy intent rate, meaning they're getting their questions answered. So even if they're not looking to apply, we have loaded our virtual assistant on our career site 24/7 to answer questions about Shake Shack, to send them to different resources if they have questions about different things. And so, again, that's kind of the branding side of it. I think that's a little bit of the employer branding side of it. So not only are they engaging with the virtual assistant to apply and to schedule an interview, but also just asking questions. And that AI has been kind of impactful on that side of things too. We went live with Paradox in January. So we're spending this year really enhancements, making it easier, making it better. It's been a change curve, but it's been a huge success for a quicker application, less admin work for our operators. And at the end of the day, I would say the biggest change curve for the end user, our operators, was that it's a quick apply. So we're not requiring an application. We're not requiring a resume. We're not requiring lengthy questions. And when I would get pushback from some of my operators and my general managers, they would say, but I need a resume. And I'm like, well, why? Why do you need a resume? You're hiring someone who likes hospitality. You're hiring someone who shows up on time for work and that wants to just work hard. Like, what are you going to find on a piece of paper that's going to make you decide to hire that person?
Totally.
And so that was a change curve. It was a change curve for our operators that you're hiring for hospitality. It's about that experience once you get them in the door. So let us make it really easy to get people in the door.
Awesome. And yeah, it sounds like even though now you're hiring also in new locations, opening new locations, you're not having to add more money to the top of funnel because of what Paradox is able to do and the Dalia re-engagement. But that is really incredible. I think is like you're opening however many restaurants every single month and your budget is staying flat, right? Like I'm sure that your higher ups are very, very happy about that as well.
Yep. And the way we were able to really sell Paradox is like, it's almost like table stakes for a company our size in growth mode to have something like that, to lean into technology, to lean into automation, to make it easier, makes you more efficient. It's all about efficiency. That's the name of the game right now when it comes to talent, because it's not just, I had X thousand applications. It's how many did you hire? What was the quality of those applications? What was the diversification of the media that got them there? So it's really to kind of take that next step into just pure volume.
Totally. And it's what candidates are expecting now, right? They're expecting a quick and a service type of application, not getting lost in Workday or any other ATS that's a lot clunkier. So totally. Okay, so yeah, that was kind of the meat of the presentation. We wanted to kind of wrap up on 4 key takeaways that Mavis and I came up with. If you are in a similar situation and looking to kind of take action, here are 4 things that we think are really imperative to success. So the first is use as much data as possible. And Mavis, I know you talked a lot about this. Is just, yes, everything today still isn't 100% data. You still have to listen to the field, but you have your people and data components. But if you're lost in data, there are partners that can help you find it, understand it, like Recruitix has done for Shake Shack. So that is a really, really important point. And then being proactive. So even a year before Shake Shack was able to implement Paradox and create that efficiency from their application all the way through to onboarding, they're being proactive by implementing Dalia and just being like, I want to be able to engage this career site traffic that's leaving. It's a new talent pool for me. And so how much of my organic career site traffic can I convert before I continue investing in my top of funnel job advertising? And then the third thing is really important, but I think really hard to do, is finding partners that focus on delivering what you need. So what every organization that we speak with, they need to make hires. They don't need more clicks. Maybe they need more applications, obviously, but they don't need more application starts. And so a lot of vendors today and job boards, they're focused on what they need, right? You give them a budget every month, they want to hit it. They're going to focus on driving more of those clicks if you're on that cost per click model. And that doesn't always align with what you need at the end of the day, like clearly what was outlined today in Shake Shack's story. And so the 3 partners we talked about today do align with what you need in hires and that further down a funnel. And then Mavis, I'll have you talk about the last one, about the importance of internal culture and people.
Yeah. So it's interesting, this employer branding side of things, like why come work at Shake Shack? What is it? We know Shake Shack's really cool. We know the history around it. But being able to share that messaging throughout the process, from when they click apply to when they come in the door and candidates are hired. So the people that you experience, the culture, and then the experience of a candidate. That's the driver of hiring success. Hiring, we always say, the right butts in the right seats, but a lot of that is sharing the vision of the company and sharing a true expectation of the job. And so people at the end of the day are what are going to make or break us. When we talk about our hiring, when we talk about our growth, it is people. It is a people game. And so aligning on the expectations of the job, it's a really hard job, but guess what? You get X, Y, and Z. And if you can sprinkle a candidate throughout the whole process with all of this information, if out of the gate, you're just aligned, and more opt for success long term.
Totally. Thank you. So yes, we would love to connect with you. I know we kind of gave a very high level today. We only had that 40 minutes. So thank you all for joining. If you ever want to continue the conversation, ask Mavis questions, myself questions, feel free to reach out to us. Here are our LinkedIn's, emails, and feel free to shoot me a call, shoot me a text or call me. And just want to say thank you so much for joining. Something that Dalia does offer for our Lunch and Learn attendees is a free job advertising source analysis comparison. So what we do is we just look at all of your data in your job advertising report and where you get your applications from, where you make your hires from, and we're able to kind of give you a clear and accurate year-to-date analysis of your source performance. So if you're trying to understand for next year where to put your money or what's performing well and what's not, but are kind of lost because your ATS is a mess and there's a million source codes, if you just share with us some raw data on that, we're able to clean it up and kind of shoot you back a clear depiction of what the performance has been this year within 48 hours. So if you're interested in that, it's a free offer, no strings attached. We just want to, like Mavis said, help people understand what their current state is. And a lot of it just sometimes has to do with a lack of resources to do the analysis in-house. And so we're happy to do that. If you're interested in that, again, shoot me an email. You all have my email. You got your Lunch and Learn gift cards from my email, and also all of the invitations were from my email. So Michaela@dalia.co. Thank you so much, and hope to catch you on the next one. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Bye.